Hey everyone, it's Sarah at Repeat Crafter Me, and I am coming at you with another project that you can make with this Red Heart all-in-one granny square yarn. This is fairly new, and it has preset colors already worked right into the skein. So you can make these perfect granny squares with color changes on each round and not have to weave in a bunch of ends and actually fasten off each color as you go. So it was kind of a new inventive way to make granny squares to make things easier. And I've done a few projects with the granny squares, but I just discovered you can also make 3D flower squares with this yarn as well. Using those preset color changes, you will have 3 petal rounds, your first kind of center of the flower, and then kind of a little granny stitch on the outer edges with that last color to make it that square. And oh my gosh, it just works out perfectly. So I'm so excited that there's just another way you can use this yarn. It doesn't have to be a granny square. It can be a flower square. And this yarn comes in a bunch of different colors. I will leave the link. You can shop this on yarnspirations.com. This one is color Rainbow Sherbet. This is actually one of their newer colors in this line. I just love it because it's great for summer and these flowers, and just so pretty. But I have a couple other colors here, so you can choose. It's either going to have white on the outer edge, or you're going to grab the colors with the black for the outer edge. Now, just one more note before we get started. So every time you use this yarn, you're going to want to start with the color, the center color that matches up with the color in the actual picture on your yarn ball. So it is the yellow, which is actually perfect for the center of our flower. And you can make about 14 of these. So you can make 14 of the granny squares, and you can make about 14 of these flower squares because it uses the same color presets in one ball. So you can actually get a lot of these. I don't know what I'm going to be making yet with these, but I will join them somehow, and we're going to have a pretty project. All right, let's get started. Lots of talking here. So this is a size H crochet hook. Again, you're going to want to start with that color, that center color, which in this ball is the yellow. I'm just going to move this over here. All right, we're going to start with a magic ring. I'm leaving a little bit of a tail here. We're going to do magic ring. Okay, let me pull some yarn out so we can get started. Okay, we're going to do a magic ring. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to make 8 single crochets in the ring. I'm going to pull tight. I'm going to join to that first single crochet. Chain 1. This is round 2. We're making 2 single crochets in each stitch around. And 16. Okay, now look, we're actually right on schedule here because that was the end of the yellow color. Again, you can do this with any of the color combinations of the Red Heart all-in-one granny square yarn. I just happen to be using the Rainbow Sherbet, so I'm just giving you the color changes as we go for this particular ball. Okay, so we're done with the yellow. We can see the green is starting, and the green is going to be our first petal round. So we are going to go ahead and join to this first single crochet. And we're going to be working in the front loops only, okay? So the front loops, I'm going to get my tapestry needle. Here's the front loops, and then these over here are the back loops, okay? So we're going to be working the front loops for this round. And I just want to note, if you're not right on target here, starting with the green, you can go back a little bit and you can adjust your tension, so you can crochet a little tighter if you need if you need more yarn, or you can do a little looser if you have some yellow left over and you need to kind of use it up. All right, so we are going for round 3 here, front loops only, where you're going to chain 2, and we're going to make 2 double crochets. Again, working in that, I'm going to be working right here in that front loop. Let's see, we're going to be making 2 double crochets, another chain 2, and then we're going to join. Okay, and now I'm going to skip a front loop. We're going to be slip stitching over, slip stitching over right here to that next stitch, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, and slip stitch back down to make our second petal. Now again, we're going to skip a front loop, work into that next one, slip stitch, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch back down to make that third petal. Just going to pause here, turn this over so you can kind of see I am working in those front loops. I am skipping a stitch. Okay, I'm kind of getting tangled here. I'm actually going to pause real quick too. Just want to weave this end in before we go any farther, because I feel like I want you guys to be able to see the back side as we go of this flower, and I feel like this little loose end is very distracting for all of us here. So let's just weave this in. Of course, if you're working on this at home, you can wait to weave this in until the very end. And it's getting caught on everything. This is exactly why we got to get rid of this little bugger. All right. Bye-bye. Okay, let's keep going. So we are going to be making a total of 8 petals. All right, so I'm skipping that next front loop, slip stitching, so I'm working in the next, chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch back down, skip a stitch, slip stitch into that next so we can make the next petal. Double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch back down, skip a stitch, working in that next one, chain 2, 1, 2 double crochets, chain 2, skip a stitch, front loop of the next one, 1, 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2, slip stitch back down. Okay, skip a stitch. Here's my last petal. I can kind of see where we're at. I have a little bit of that green. I can see where we're switching over to that blue next. Chain 2, 2 double crochets, chain 2. I'm getting pretty lucky here with these color changes. We're pretty much right on schedule. Love it. It doesn't work out like that every time, but you'll kind of get the hang of it with your tension. Oh, I'm talking too much here. I just want to show you. I'm just, to join, I'm just slip stitching right back down, kind of to the bottom of that first petal where we started. All right, there we have it. We're done with our green. We're done with our first round of petals. Okay, here's the back side, the front side. All right, now let's go on to round 4. We are going to be working, let's turn this over. We're going to be working in the back loops from these petals. Now it's yellow, so it's a little bit hard to see, but do you see that there's these kind of back loops, these bigger back loops sticking up? We're going to be working in these. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and technically 8. This one kind of, it's the green instead. It was right where our color change was, but you guys can see where these loops are. Actually, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, 8. There we go. Make sure you have 8. That wasn't it. It was this one. I miscounted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, they are all yellow. Sorry, this is part of my double crochet. Okay, there we go. Now you can see it. All right, so let's just get started. Let's just go into this because it's easier just to do it. All right, so we are going to be working in those back loops. So I'm kind of flipping it over so I can see. So I'm starting in that yellow one. I'm just going to join here. Your tension really doesn't need to be that tight, a little bit loose, especially for this round of blue petals. So we are going to chain 2. We're going to make 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and slip stitch back down to that back loop. Okay. Now I'm kind of holding these green petals forward so I can see my next loop right here. So I'm going to slip stitch into it. Again, we're making 8 petals, so just make sure you have 8. If you work into the wrong spot, it's going to be okay. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Join. Okay, working into that next back loop. Chain 2. 1, 2, 3 double crochets. Chain 2. Slip stitch back down to join. 3 petals are made. There's the back side. Let's work our hook into that next back loop. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 double crochets. 1, 2, chains, and slip stitch back down. On to the next. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, chain 2, and slip stitch back down. Okay, I can see where my next spot is here. Chain 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. You see I'm kind of keeping my stitches a bit loose here. Working into that next one. 1, 2. Let's see, how many have we made? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 more to go. So we have that one. And then we work into that last spot right there. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Join. And the last one. 1, 2. 1. Ooh, look, I can see where my color change is coming. 2, 3. 1, 2. Look at that. Pretty darn good. Slip stitch to join. I'm going to pause for a minute so we can just see what this looks like. So you should have your green. We should have the blue. All right, that's the back side. Here's our front side. Everything's looking beautiful. We are done with our blue round, so you should have your 8 petals in the blue. Now we are going to go to round 5, and we are going to be doing the pink petals now. So whichever color of granny square yarn you're using, it should be the next color. And we are going to be working, this is a little bit easier to see this time, in these blue back loops. All right, you can see them sticking out. Pretty easy. You should have crocheted a little bit loosely, so it's going to be fairly easy to get your hook in there. Okay, so you see those? And again, we're going to be making 8 petals. All right, so I'm just going to, here's my first one down here. I'm going to, oh, you know what? Sorry, we're just going to slip stitch to join back to that petal. There we go. Forgot that little part of it. All right, now let's go down and work into this first. If I can get my hook in here. All right, we're going to chain 3. We're going to make a triple crochet. A triple crochet, it's kind of like a double crochet, but it's just one little piece higher. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around twice. Work in here, so yarn over, pull through like a double crochet, but then we have one more triple crochet. So we're going to do that 3 times. Oop. I always kind of lose my yarn when I'm working, holding the yarn like so under the camera. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've made 3 triple crochets. 1, 2, 3 chains, and join. Okay, so then we have 1 petal made. Let's see where we're working in next. I can see that little blue loop in the back there. So slip stitch over, chain 3, triple crochet, 1. Come on, yarn, cooperate with me. Sorry, guys. We'll get this. We'll get in a rhythm here. All right. There was 1. 2. 3. Chain 3. Join. Okay. I can see that next spot. Slip stitching to join there. 1, 2, 3. And make those 3 triple crochets. There's 1. 2. 3. 1, 2, 3. And down. Okay. Here's my next little blue loop in the back. 1, 2, 3. Make those triple crochets. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 chains, and slip stitch back down. Okay. So we should have our little pink petals coming out from under the blue. We're halfway there. I've already made 4. Slip stitch over to that next blue loop. Grab some more of this yarn. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch back down. Over to that next. 1, 2, 3. Once you actually start working in them, see how it stretches a little bit. So it gets easier to get your hook into making those stitches once you kind of make your first chain. 1, 2, this is the third one. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Over to that next. Let's just take a little pause here. See how nice that's looking? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And look. So I have 6 petals, and I can see these are going to be my last 2 little loops for those petals. All right, let me grab this again. Where am I? Here we go. Come on. There we go. 2, 3. Triple crochets. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Last one. I think I'm going to have enough for that last petal. I might make this one a little bit tighter than the rest. We'll see how we end here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I barely made it. Just turning into the white, which is going to be fine. All right. Let's just kind of spread this out a little bit. Okay. It's looking so pretty. Look at that flower. Okay, here's the back. Now, let me just join. I like to just kind of join to the base here. That kind of first stitch, just so your petals are all kind of connected. Okay. So now this is going to be our last 2 rounds. You're just going to be working with the white. We are going to have our tension a little bit tighter than we did for the petals on this one, only because you are going to want a little bit of a tail left over so you can weave in your ends. So you kind of have to account for that on these last 2 rounds. All right, so we're actually going to be working round 6, this next round. You guessed it. Into, do you see these loops from the pink? But we only need to work in 4 of them. So we are going to be working in one, skipping the next, working in the other. This is going to make our corners so we can make this into the square. All right, so let's go ahead and you can slip stitch down and join kind of wherever. I'm going right here into that first loop down here, if you guys can see that. All right. So we are going to go ahead and chaining 2. I'm not really going to count this one as my first double crochet. You could if you want. I'm just not going to because I like to connect to my first double crochet. So we're going to make 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and 2 more double crochets. Okay, that makes our first corner. Now you're going to chain 2. You are going to skip that next pink loop and go over to the next. Reach over. No need to chain anymore. You're going to make 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and 2 more double crochets. Chain 2. Let's just, so see we have 2 corners. Here's our kind of chain space. We are going to skip. We're going to skip one of these pink back loops, reach over to that next, making two double crochets. If I can get in here, there we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 chains, and another 2 double crochets. Chain 2, skip the back loop, we're making our last corner here, which is 1, 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and 1, 2 double crochets. Now chain 2 again. That's our space, and we're just going to join to that first double crochet. I'm just skipping over that first chain 2 I made. Okay, looks a little tight, but it's okay. It'll even out on this last round. Because now we have made our 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. So our flower sits nicely on a square. Okay, can't really see it from the front, so it doesn't matter too much. All right, last round, yay. Let's go ahead and slip stitch over. So we're working in that first corner space. Okay, we are going to be making a chain 3. And I'm actually going to count this as a double crochet this time. And then I'm going to be making 1, 2 double crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 double crochets. This is basically kind of the regular, we've gone now into the regular granny stitch pattern, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to chain 1. Now I'm going to work in that chain 2 space, making 3 double crochets. Chain 1, working into the next corner. Corners are 3 double crochets. A chain 2, and 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, working into that chain 2 space from before. So 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 1, next corner, 1, 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 more double crochets. Okay, chain 1, working 3 double crochets into that chain space, just like a normal granny stitch. Chain 1, last corner, 3 double crochets, a chain 2. Let's see how much I have left here. Ooh, I think we're just gonna make it. 1, 2, well, we might not. Chain 1, 3 double crochets. Oh, I barely made it. I'm gonna let this be how it is. We're just gonna have to weave in with a little bit of that yellow. I'm just gonna join to that top of the, come on, top of the chain. Pretty perfect, if you ask me. We did it. I'm not going to go back. So I'm just going to kind of clip that off. I'll have enough of the yellow to start my next flower square or granny square, whatever you want to do. But check that out. You're going to want to weave in this end. But we have our 3D flower, 3 levels of petals, the center, that granny stitch square that it's sitting on, so you can join these or do whatever you like. Super cute. Oh, really, really cute. So look at that. 2 different ways to use this yarn, just right off the bat. Love it. I hope you enjoy this pattern. Of course, I will have the written pattern on repeatcrafterme.com and links to where to buy this on yarnspirations.com. Hope you enjoy. Go ahead, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think.